The anime begins with a young man named Alan on a train heading north. He's writing a letter to his beloved, Lydia, telling her he's heading north after failing the Royal Sorcerer exam. He recalls what happened earlier with the professor, who was disappointed by Alan's failure, something he never expected. The exam was a setback for him. The professor asked if he had any idea what happened, but Alan was clueless. On top of that, he can't afford to go back to his family, which makes him very sad. The professor thought it was noble of him to send money to his family, but said he should also think about himself. He offered him a job opening. He had an old friend was looking for a tutor for his daughter just until spring and would pay him well. He asked what Alan thought about giving it a try. Alan was surprised, but agreed immediately. The professor called his friend and told him he'd found the right person, the same boy he had told him so much about, even saying he was the smartest he'd ever taught. After the call, he told Alan that his friend was very welcoming of the idea. He informed him that he would be teaching the daughter of Duke Howard, one of the 4 noble houses. Her name is Tina, and she hopes to enroll in the Royal Academy in the spring. Alan thought that being a private tutor for a duke's daughter might be difficult, remembering that the other girl was also a duke's daughter. The professor showed him the ticket he had already bought for him, explaining he would leave at noon in a first-class carriage. This annoyed Alan, who thought the professor had set him up, but the professor just wished him good luck. Back in the present, Alan is still on the train north and has finished his letter to Lydia. He arrives in the city where it's very cold and starts looking for Duke Howard's mansion. A man named Graham, Duke Howard's head butler, appears with Ellie, a maid in training. Ellie greeted Alan, and after they all exchanged greetings, they headed to the carriage. Graham told Alan the carriage was small and asked Ellie if she should sit on Alan's lap, which made Ellie extremely embarrassed. Alan was also hesitant, but Ellie didn't seem to mind, and neither did Graham. They got into the carriage, and Alan was struck by the ribbon in Ellie's hair as they started moving. Alan noticed the snow was thick, but Graham told him they would be staying indoors for the next few days because of the severe cold. Alan saw that Ellie was cold and gave her his scarf, asking if he could use magic to warm the inside of the carriage. Graham agreed. Alan used his warming magic, which amazed and astonished Ellie. Alan told her it wasn't a difficult spell once you get used to it. They arrived at Duke Howard's mansion, and Graham opened the carriage door for them. Ellie couldn't get out, so Alan had to carry her, which made her very embarrassed. After he put her down, he apologized if he had caused any trouble for Her Highness, the princess. Ellie was surprised he knew she was the Duke's daughter and immediately asked how he figured it out. Alan knew from the moment he met her at the train station. Her clothes didn't suit her, and she didn't look like a maid. He also noticed her white ribbon embroidered with gold, something he had only seen a few of in the royal capital. He guessed that no one else would disguise themselves to meet him for the first time. This embarrassed Ellie, and she quickly ran off. Graham explained that it was her idea to meet him herself first and apologized. They entered the mansion, which was built to withstand the severe cold and was very warm inside. Graham called for the real maid, Ellie, to welcome Alan. Ellie came running to greet Alan and almost fell, but he caught her. Graham was annoyed by her running in the house, as he had told her many times not to, but Alan wasn't bothered at all. He was just glad she wasn't hurt and playfully teased her, which made Ellie very embarrassed. Graham saw that Alan was exactly as the professor had described. Alan asked Graham what the professor had said about him. Graham replied that the professor told them he was a natural at handling young girls. Alan denied this, saying he just had some experience dealing with people younger than him, nothing more. Alan then went to meet Duke Howard in his office. He thanked him for accepting him for the job and introduced himself. Howard greeted him, mentioned he had spoken with the professor who recommended him for the task, and said he was looking forward to seeing his work. He came here to tutor his daughter Tina so she could join the Royal Academy, which shocked Howard. Alan felt he'd been given the wrong information, but Howard asked him to make his daughter give up on the idea of joining the Royal Academy altogether. Alan asked, "You want me to stop your daughter from applying?" But Howard decided to tell Alan a bit about the Howard family line. He explained that they knew about the 4 great ducal houses, which contributed a lot to founding the kingdom, earning them vast lands in the 4 cardinal directions, with each duke protecting his own territory. He also told him that the Howards ruled the north on behalf of the crown for centuries, and are proud of that, but it all ended with him. He told him that Tina's mother died when Tina was young, and that he only has his 2 daughters left. Stella, the elder, who joined the academy, but he couldn't say she was magically talented and doubted she'd ever be able to master the family's magical inheritance. As for his younger daughter, Tina, she didn't have any magical talent at all. She had mana but couldn't use any spells. After being examined by a well-known magician, her condition wasn't explained, surprising Alan with such a sudden case. But Howard sees that Tina has a strong sense of responsibility, and since she's part of their house, their duty is to have her study magic and fighting arts at the Royal Academy, even though she has other paths ahead of her. Alan asked about these other paths, but Howard thought it best if Alan saw for himself. They moved to the flower room, which Tina had planted herself after reading her late mother's books, and Tina started learning how things grew in that land. Howard considered this research a real treasure for the duchy, which is why he wanted Tina to continue her research here. That's when Alan realized what the professor had gotten him into, but he told Howard that Tina should choose her own path, and after she masters magic, she could attend the Royal Academy. But would Howard allow that? Howard said he'd allow it then, and promised Alan. Alan thought to himself, this girl has mana but can't can't use magic, that's a mystery worth solving. They moved to the dining room, where Howard celebrated Alan's arrival and told him that their custom was to have servants eat at the same table with them as well. Alan thought this was great. Ellie and Tina joined them, and Howard asked them to join in. They approached Alan, and Howard introduced them to each other. They got to know one another, and Alan told Tina that he'd met Ellie in the carriage when it was very cold, which embarrassed Tina a lot and left Ellie not understanding what he meant. Tina asked Alan if she could learn many things since she had many questions she wanted to ask. Howard asked Alan for another favor regarding Ellie Hay, wanted her to be under Alan's supervision, and told him Ellie was Graham's granddaughter and from the Walker family, who had long served the Howards. Graham agreed to this. Alan asked, "So, do you want Ellie to join the Royal Academy too?" But Ellie showed that she wasn't good at magic at all and thought she'd just be a burden. Alan asked Ellie, "What do you want to do?" She said she wanted to do whatever was asked of her. He asked, "Do you want to join the Royal Academy?" Ellie replied, of course she did, and that she wanted to always be with Tina because she was her personal attendant. Alan looked forward to teaching her. The black cat, Anko, appeared, and they found out she belonged to the professor who'd recommended Alan, which made them all really impressed. The next day, Alan went to Tina's room, entered, and greeted her. But Tina asked him not to address her as Your Grace or My Lady, just Tina. She also asked him not to lie to her, even if what he had to say hurt she could handle it. Alan agreed, promising he wouldn't hold back. Before starting the lesson, he asked her to take a written test that day and told her that the entrance exam consisted of 3 parts: a written exam, an interview, and a practical magic test. They needed to focus on practical magic, but first he wanted to see how prepared she was for the written portion. Tina asked, "Do they make a new written test every year?" She said she'd heard it was very hard, but Alan denied this and told her that patterns are repeated in Academy questions just like any other test. No one notices because the Academy draws from an archive going back decades. He gave her a sheet of questions and asked her to do her best to solve them. Night fell, and we moved to Alan's room, where he started correcting Tina's exam. He found that this girl was as smart as Lydia. Lydia had been a heavy burden on him. She was the eldest daughter of Duke Leinster, protector of the South. Even though Lydia was famous as the Sword Lady, she was also top of her class at the Royal Academy and University, and she had huge magic power, eventually mastering the Grand Phoenix spell. At least academically, Tina was her match. The next day, they met in the study, and Alan gave Tina back her test after reviewing it, which made her really happy since she passed. He told her she was qualified for the written exam and could even get the highest marks. Tina thanked Alan a lot, but Alan wanted to cut back on time spent preparing for the written exam and focus on practical magic starting today. He told her there was no way to know what she could do unless she tried. Tina tried over and over, but failed again, telling him she'd had a lot of teachers before him and disappointed all of them. But Alan understood how she felt it had happened to him, recently surprising Tina. She told him the professor had said he was very good and Mrs. Lydia had become famous because of his teaching. Alan said people just talked about him because he was the only one who could put up with Lydia's whims, and his mana was much less than last year. They'd only accepted him into the university because they thought he was good at handling Lydia. So he knew the Royal Academy was tough, with hard and grueling lessons, and that half the students didn't graduate on time. Before starting the lesson, he asked Tina if she really wanted to go to the Royal Academy, not just because she felt she had to. Tina wanted to join, not out of duty, but because she loved plants. As a child, her mother had read her picture books, and she was always fascinated by the great spells used by legends, wanting to master such spells herself. But Alan thought no one now could use the great spells, but he'd try everything he could, and if she had the will and kept going, he'd find a way. Tina thanked him for trusting her. Ellie came in with a bunch of candles, and as she approached, she almost tripped again, but Alan managed to save her for the second time in a row, using his magic to stop the candles from falling and setting them safely on the table. Tina got upset about Alan and Ellie getting close and told him to stay away from her right away. The lesson began, and Alan asked Tina about the basic magical elements. She told him fire, water, wind, and some others, and that everyone is born with a natural affinity for one of the 7 elements, which is the reason for their strength or weakness. Alan asked what the Howard family's element was. Tina thought they harmonized best with water and wind, which could be combined to use ice magic. Alan asked Tina what affinity meant. He told her he'd used a spell in the carriage to keep it warm, one that used 3 elements: water, wind, and fire. Water and fire are opposites, which went against the theory of affinity, a theory of his own, and he didn't believe people are born with natural elements. He asked her to use different elements with an open mind, and had her try spells on the candles using all 7 elements. Ellie asked which elements she could use. She could use fire and wind a little. Alan asked Ellie to light the candles, and she succeeded, lighting one. He had her use wind, and she succeeded again, making Alan pleased and expecting a bright future for her. He was sure she'd be ready for the entrance exam, and could even pass with honors, which surprised Ellie. He asked Tina to try. She tried, and Alan could sense the mana moving inside her, but she couldn't light the candles and apologized. But he told her not to apologize. He knew she had mana, but he had to find out why her spell wasn't activating. He'd give them a demonstration since they'd be trying it themselves soon, so they should pay attention. He lit the candles with different colored flames, amazing them. Meanwhile, we move to Lydia's house, where she reads Alan's letter. He told her he'd stay at Howard's house until spring and asked her to hope he could prove himself without getting into trouble. Ellen continued to teach them magic and asked why people were able to use it. Tina responded that people possess mana and have mastered its use through research and effort. Ellen looked at the horizon and mentioned that scientific research has advanced and the number of magic users has increased, but the number of those capable of casting advanced spells has decreased year by year. Now, the ducal families have become synonymous with powerful spells, like the Firebird, Ice Wolf, and Capital Dragon, but the number of people who can execute those spells has become very small, and their power is in continuous decline. Tina, who had lived for 2 centuries of research and reform since the Demon King's War, asked Ellen if he meant that these efforts had gone to waste, but Ellen clarified that he didn't mean that. Rather, the truth was that they had sacrificed quality for quantity. He believed that humans' ability to use magic relied on the help of unseen elemental spirits, but Tina argued that experiments had disproved this theory, pointing out that fire spells do not increase in power near volcanoes, where fire spirits are supposed to prevail. However, Ellen pondered how one could trust those experiments if they could not verify the strength of the spirits, realizing that this question was unfair, even though he thought Tina was superior in knowledge. Nevertheless, Tina believed that Ellen was very mean. Then Ellen told them that elements didn't matter much to spirits, and that most of the magic formulas used today were designed to summon only one element. He asked them, if you were an elemental spirit, would you enjoy being asked to do the same thing over and over? But they both thought not. So, Ellen was trying to improve his formula by adding gaps in it, and asked them to try that too, which surprised them. He asked Ely, since she could use fire and wind magic, to try another type of magic. Ely gave it a shot, but couldn't, and felt like a failure. However, Ellen denied that to her, asking her to calm down and try again. On the second try, she finally succeeded and felt happy about the achievement, even if it was small. Then it was Tina's turn. Tina tried to use magic but failed on her first attempt, and when asked to try again, she failed once more, which saddened her. As night fell, Ellen moved to the library and was amazed at the number of books there. He began searching for a book that could help Tina. While he was searching, Tina arrived with her maid, who warned her not to stay too long. Tina looked for a specific book and picked it from the shelf, and when she found it, her maid mentioned that she resembled her mother, who also loved reading, but Tina was different from her mother because she couldn't use magic. The maid then asked Tina about her new teacher, noting that he had a mean side, but she remembered what had happened with her in the carriage when he had told her he was very nice. Ellen listened to their entire conversation. After Tina went to her room, the maid realized that Ellen was there, which made him feel embarrassed at being discovered. The maid introduced herself to him, telling him that she was Shelley, the head maid of the house, and that she wanted to ask him something. Ellen inquired about her request, and she informed him that it was about Tina. She told him that Tina was a very smart and hardworking girl, but her previous teachers had ignored her efforts and left simply because she lacked magical ability. She felt pain at each departure, crying in secret but never giving up on her dream of entering the Royal Academy. She remembered that Ellen was coming to train her, as he was the mind of the sword master himself. Shelley then added that she learned that Tina admired both him and Lydia a lot, requesting his help, to which Ellen assured her that he was there for that. The next day, Tina felt anger when she thought that Ellen and Ely were out together. Ellen clarified that he was just picking vegetables with her. Ely felt nervous about Tina's potential reaction, and asked her what she thought of Ellen, and how she could go out with him alone in the morning. But Ely confessed that she liked Ellen quite a bit, which made Tina happy but also surprised. Ely explained that she loved Ellen after loving her grandparents and also after loving herself, which made Ellen laugh at them. Ellen saw that they resembled sisters perfectly, but he thought that Tina was the older sister, which made her feel proud. However, Ely was actually a whole year older than her, yet Tina never acknowledged that Ely acted like the older sister. This angered Ely, and she told Tina that she wouldn't let her sleep next to her again if the weather thunders, which made Ellen laugh again. Tina and Ely responded to Ellen that it wasn't funny. They continued to practice magic, with Ellen holding Ely's hand and asking her to feel the internal mana. He asked if she felt anything, and she felt a great warmth and mana flowing through her. He informed her that she had experienced dark mana. He asked her to use magic afterward, but she didn't succeed, so he reassured her that it was no problem and that failing on the first try was normal. He then asked Tina to try too, but her attempts weren't successful either. Ellen encouraged her not to let it affect her and asked her to try something different. Ellen used his magic and showed them a new cat, which amazed them. Ely asked Ellen if she could touch the cat, and even Tina wanted to do that too, but Ellen requested they not fight over it. He offered another cat and gave each of them a cat, bringing joy to everyone. After the day ended, as Ellen was heading to his room, Graham handed him a special letter. He went to his room, thinking that this letter was from Lydia, who had quickly responded to him. Upon opening the letter, Lydia informed him that she received his message and angrily asked why he had gone to Howard. She added that if he needed work, he should have come to her. She mentioned that she had met Tina several times and knew exactly her situation, and that he would face great difficulty. However, she expected him to succeed if he did it, though she thought that was highly unlikely. Lydia warned him not to think about trying it with anyone else, and insisted that he was hiding something from her about the Royal Sorcerer test, and that he shouldn't do that. But she would see him in the Royal Academy exam, and if he ran away, she would chase him to the ends of the earth to tear him apart and burn whatever remains of him. Then she requested that he write her a letter every week. We then moved to the teaching room after Ellen finished reading the letter, where Tina asked what Lydia wanted from Ellen. Ellen told her that Lydia was upset because he hadn't written to her much, and he noticed that Ely found Lydia's interest in him significant, while Tina believed that Lydia felt lonely for Ellen's absence. But Ellen didn't think the reason was as nice as they assumed. They continued to train, and Ely succeeded in using magic, but Tina failed once more. Here, Ellen was surprised when an ice plane flew upwards. Ellen moved to the library again to search for a solution, telling himself that her spells were close to being activated, and if he didn't find a solution in the modern books, he would turn to the old ones. During his search, he noticed a very strange sign, then left the library to find Ely waiting for him. She led him to her room, offered him a drink, and Ellen thanked her, calling her Miss Ely, which annoyed her and made her ask why he addressed her that way. She clarified that she preferred to be called without formality and asked if that was only during training. She realized he was lying since when he called her again as Ely, she calmed down. She told him that she preferred him to call her that always, but Ellen felt that it wasn't right to bring a strange man into her room at night, but she saw no problem with that. She then told him that her grandparents had called her recently and told her how much they loved her, hugging her tightly, which surprised her and made her ask why. They told her they had a conversation about her, and Ellen gave her a little advice, recalling what he discussed with Shelley about her strong capabilities and how talented she was. But Ellen felt it was hard to utilize that as he should, so he wanted her to express to them how much she meant to them, as having a loving family was the greatest support for her. Ellen came back to the present and told Ely that he had a family that supported him in many situations. Ely told him that her father died when she was young, and she had moved here to live with the Howard family. She still remembered the day she arrived at this house, imagining the white snow and a girl trying to catch up with her wherever she went. Tina had recently witnessed the loss of her mother, which made her anxious. She and Ely were cut from the same cloth, and she was scared because she was the heir of the Walker family, but none of her actions had succeeded. Before she realized it, she had fallen far behind Tina in attending the academy, and she feared there would be no place for her. She encouraged herself and asked Mr. Howard to allow her to enter the Royal Academy. Ellen saw this as merely courage from her, as she wanted to carve out a path for herself, and that she was also gifted. He urged her to be confident, which excited her. The next day, Ely used her magic strongly and succeeded with it, which led to Tina feeling sad. Ellen asked about Ely using the other elements, but Ely was scared of lightning and light. She told him that Inko helps her in the dark, and she believed she would master it soon. Then Ellen asked Tina to step up to try magic, but she didn't succeed at all. She wondered why this was happening to her, but Ellen reassured them that they had time and that they would try a different spell formula. After that, Ellen went to Howard and told him that Tina's mana capacity was huge, but he couldn't guarantee her readiness to pass the exam. Howard believed that he should dissuade her from applying, but Ellen thought that was a mistake and insisted that they shouldn't discourage her if she truly wanted to enroll. He explained that even if she was unable to use magic, the academy would consider her academic brilliance. Howard was aware of that, but he knew that aristocratic society doesn't make things easy, understanding well that a girl from the Howard family without magic would be a target for fools at the academy. He didn't want his daughter to suffer as he had. He told Ellen that if her situation didn't change, he should carry out what he had asked him to do. Ellen opposed this, but Howard pleaded with him to do so. Then we shifted to the training room, where Tina was trying to use her power but failed. Ellen approached her and offered to participate in her training, asking her if he minded, to which he replied that he minded not at all. He asked her to continue, but Tina kept trying multiple times without success. After that, Ellen went back to his room, attempting to find a solution to Tina's problem, but he couldn't find a fault in her formula. He wondered why it wasn't reacting. He drew many magical circles on paper and continued to ponder a solution. The next day, Ellen woke up thinking he was late and had not rested well due to staying up. He went to the teaching room, where Tina was sleeping. When she woke up and saw Ellen sitting in front of her, she apologizes if he was the reason for her waking up. She looked at the book in his hand and asked if he was reading it for her, but he denied it and told her he was interested in it. But Tina realized he was lying, knowing he had learned to stay up at night to read this book, and that he hadn't come to breakfast in the morning because of that. She asked him how many books he had read for her, and how he practiced with her different spells daily, and helped her train at night as well. Ellen asked her not to worry about that because he liked reading and enjoyed modifying spells. He told her that he had dozed off that morning unusually, which made her feel that he wasn't mad at her or blaming her, and though she was incapable of casting any spells, she expressed her feelings and asked him to forgive her. Tina cried a lot, as she could no longer bear it. She told him that she loved him and respected him, and that she also loved Ely very much. Every time he praised her and she saw her progress, she became aware of the negative feelings inside him. Suddenly, Tina unleashed a huge icy power that almost hurt Ellen. Thankfully, Ely came, but Ellen asked her not to intervene in the room. Ellen asked Eli to go and bring Mr. Graham, then used a spell spell to stop the blizzard, but he failed. He couldn't break through it and felt like something was choking him. He felt he had no choice but to steel himself, even though he didn't want to do this again. Then, he called out to Tina and asked her to answer if she could hear him. We moved to Tina, trapped between the ice wall. She listened to Ellen's voice and wondered what was happening to her. Then Elin told her that her power was raging now, and if it continued like this, she would run out and die. Tina asked what she should do. Then he told her that he would link his power to hers, and that way he could control her power. He had done it successfully before, knowing that it wasn't comfortable, but he asked her to allow him to do this. Then Ellen used his power to link their energies, risking his life for this, because Tina trusted him. He started searching for her until he found her. The link was very difficult for him, and a large amount of immense mana appeared to him, revealing her hidden abilities. They rivaled Lydia's, maybe even surpassed them. Then Ellen heard Tina talking to herself, wondering why she couldn't use magic, and that she was just a cursed, useless child. Tina's thoughts flooded into Ellen's head. Then Ellen called out to her. An ice dragon appeared behind Tina, and he discovered that she was trying to help him by amplifying the storm. The timing was right for Ellen to use his power and unleash a firebird, successfully melting the ice and revealing Tina. Ellen approached Tina and hugged her, feeling relieved that she was okay. He looked up and saw the dragon disappearing, but before it vanished, it told him that he had encountered a final key. Elin was surprised by this and asked Tina if she had asked or heard anything in the storm, but she hadn't heard anything. However, Tina told Ellen that she felt strange because of the connection that had happened between them. Ellen forgot that they were still connected and severed the link between them. He was about to go and get Ellie because she was worried about them, but Tina asked him to wait with her and continue hugging her, and told him that he was her only teacher, so Ellen did that. After that, Ellie arrived with Graham to check on Tina and Ellen. Ellie felt happy for Tina. Ellen remembered Lydia's speech to him and her saying not to try this with anyone else. Then he told himself that he had to think of a good excuse for her. He lost consciousness and was about to fall, but Graham supported him. Then we moved to Ellen's room. Tina and Ellie were worried about him, and Ellie went to get him tea. Tina asked if what happened to him was because of their connection, but Ellen told her not to worry. But this was surprising because when he connects with someone, he can't help but share their thoughts and feelings. Then Tina told him that she heard him when he called her Princess Venom, and was very angry and demanded an explanation for this immediately, because she had asked him before not to call her that again. But Ellen tried to muddle the matter and told her that he saw some points regarding this ability, and that he could control the mana of the person he was connected to, and his will affects the amount of mana he can use. After a bond is created with someone, it becomes easy to reconnect with them later. Tina asked Ellen if he had done something like this before. Of course, Ellen had linked his mana with his sister Karen's. Tina asked if he had done this with Lydia. He confirmed this because he had no other choice at the time, and that linking magical energy means holding the other person's life in your hands. This power can be dangerous as it allows him to use the other person's energy as he pleases, and he should not act recklessly with it, and asked her to keep this a secret between them. She was surprised that he had told her a secret between them. Then Ellen asked her not to tell anyone, not even Ellie. Then night fell, and Ellen began trying to understand what was inside Tina, and wondered about the connection between them, and that he should investigate the matter thoroughly. Then they moved to the new place for magic training. Elin was very impressed with the place, and asked Tina to try her magic power in this new place. Then Tina approached the candles to light them, but she unleashed a very large power from her body after she succeeded in manifesting her power, which amazed everyone. Elin asked himself if what was inside Tina had an effect on the results. He remembered the dragon and said that it was no longer hindering her spells. It was possible that because of their magic link, something of his control over magic had leaked into her. Then Ellen approached Tina and encouraged her, and told her that they would now begin working on how to adjust the power of the spells. Then Tina hugged Ellen and cried because she was able to use magic. Ellen told her that her effort had not been in vain, and also told her that she was an amazing girl. Ellie also felt happy for Tina and cried a lot for her, and Tina thanked her for this. Elin saw that with a little training, she would be able to control her magic much more freely, and when she reached this stage, they would both be ready for the Royal Academy, and that he would tell Walter this. But Graham told him that Walter was traveling on a mission and would not return soon. Ellen thought that he would be happy with this news after he learned it, and that he was looking forward to telling him. Then Elin went to his room and wrote a letter to the professor. Then we moved to the professor after he received the letter while he was in his office. Then one of Ellen's friends came to him and asked about Ellen, and the professor told him that he had now received a letter from him and described him as the 6th professor who was drowned in debt because of gambling, which made Ellen's friend laugh because this was expected of Ellen. But the professor thought that he was the 5th and that he should correct this. Then Ellen's friend approached him to read the letter with him and told him in the letter that Tina had succeeded in using her magic and casting spells, and asked him to send magical scrolls for ice resistance barriers of military quality as soon as possible at this rate, so that his dear student would not become an ice statue before he saw her again. Ellen's friend thought that he was enjoying himself, but the professor saw that converting military supplies was not an easy thing. But who would have expected that he would succeed in showing the power of the little princess? But this was expected of him. After that, we moved to Ellen's room, and he was continuing to study in the books, but he did not find a clue that would lead him to anything until he opened the next book and found the same symbol that he had seen before, and began to think about this symbol as well. Then we moved to the training room and Ellen asked Ellie to light the candles using the power of darkness. Ellie tried this, but she did not succeed. But Ellen did not give up on her and asked her to use a complete picture in her mind about darkness until she could do it, and asked her to remember what she felt when she touched Anko. Then she looked at Anko and then unleashed her magic and succeeded in lighting the candles, which led to Ellen encouraging her and asked Tina to do it too. Tina came forward and was encouraged by Ellie. Then Tina tried, but she succeeded in showing her magical power, but in a very huge way. Elin asked her to use her mind to control it and restrain it as well. Ellen asked Ellie, since she was making steady progress, to move on to combat training, which made Tina feel jealous again of Ellen's treatment of Ellie. But Ellie saw that Ellen was very kind, but Tina asked him to be kinder to her as well. But Ellen saw that there was no room for pampering in magic training, but Tina felt that this was unfair and not fair and objected strongly. But Elin told her that no girl who destroys the ceiling every time she uses her magic needs to be gentle. But Tina told him that she needed him because she doesn't get enough of it, and this is considered a shortcoming from her teacher in his duty. Elin said to himself that she now resembles someone he knows, and remembered that he had not received a message from her since that last one, and wondered what she was doing now, and remembered Lydia. Then Tina asked Ellen if he was spacing out just now, wasn't he? And Ellie asked Ellen what he was thinking about. Tina asked him to tell them now, and they grabbed him, and he remembered Graham's words to him that he has a natural talent for dealing with young women, but he immediately denied this. Then Ellie began using offensive magic and began launching attacks on Graham, but he evaded all her attacks. Ellen was surprised by this and did not see any unnecessary movements, but Tina explained to him that the Walker family trains every day to improve their service in the house. Then Graham began launching attacks in Ellie's direction, but Ellie succeeded in blocking them with skill, and Ellen was happy with this and asked her to continue. Then he told Tina that it was her turn. Then Tina came forward to light the candles and almost succeeded in reducing her power, but the mood was very difficult for her. Then we moved to Graham's room, and Graham was very surprised by Tina's and Ellie's progress, especially Tina's, and he was very grateful to him for this. But Ellen saw that the credit goes to them and their efforts. He asked him if he would meet Walter soon, but Graham told him that Walter had many engagements, but Ellen felt that with this interruption in communication, he thought that he was avoiding him. He asked Graham how he thought Walter would feel when he learned that Tina had learned magic, but Graham told Ellen all he could say. Then, Elin Graham asked another question about the books in the archive. He found several books bearing the same mark on the last page and asked if anyone knew to whom they belonged. However, Graham didn't know. Next, we moved to Ellen's room, where he started reading the books with the mark, possibly uncovering the secret of Tina's magic within them. He recalled the dragon again and wondered who he was referring to with the key. He questioned if it was about Tina, but it couldn't be him since he was just an ordinary guy. Then Tina and Eli came to them. Tina told Ellen that Eli could not sleep, but Eli revealed Tina's lie since she was the one who went to her room, telling her that she was scared of the book she had been reading, which was why she couldn't sleep. Elin asked them to go to their rooms and sleep so it wouldn't affect their training, but they didn't want that and stayed in his room. Elin offered them hot drinks, which impressed them a lot, and he asked them not to make any noise so he could continue his research. Elin discovered that all the books with the same mark shared something in common. He looked behind him and saw Tina and Eli had gone to sleep, which made him even more excited to get them into the Royal Academy together. Then we moved to the training hall, where Graham told Ellen that Walter wanted to meet him. Ellen agreed immediately and asked Tina and Eli to take a break. We then moved to Walter's office. Walter informed Ellen that he had decided that Tina should not take the admission test. Ellen insisted to Walter that Tina would excel in the entrance exam. Walter tried to convey to Elin that he was no longer involved in the matter and that he didn't want Tina to be a burden on anyone in the academy, which made Elin angry to hear. He told him he hadn't seen anything yet and that the matter was no longer just about him. Tina's mother, Princess Rosa, had her own wishes too. Walter asked Ellen how a stranger like him could know what his wife wanted, but with just one look at their archives, Ellen realized that the books about ice magic bore the same ownership mark, Princess Rosa's mark. She must have hoped to help Tina develop her magical talent, believing that if she couldn't do it herself, someone else would take care of it. He showed him the book as proof, and the mark was the biggest evidence, shocking Walter. After that, he asked Walter to reconsider his decision. Regarding his rudeness, Ellen was ready for punishment, but Walter told him to lift his head up because he was kinder than necessary. Ellen didn't want Tina to give up on her dream. Walter finally agreed, but on one condition. Then Ellen went to the training hall and informed them that if they succeeded in the final test, Walter would allow them to apply for the Royal Academy test. Tina asked what would happen in the final exam. Ellen told her that Walter wanted to test their abilities himself, but he was busy, so he would appoint a skilled mage to fight them on his behalf, which scared them. However, Ellen reassured them not to worry, saying he was completely confident they would succeed since he was proud of them being his students, which made them feel extremely embarrassed and very grateful to him. They started close-quarters combat training in the gym. Then, the two teamed up. Illy cast a spell on Ellen, but she dodged it. However, she couldn't dodge Tina's attack, and Tina successfully grabbed her. Tina thought she would win today, but Illy was annoyed that she thought of herself, and that they would win together. While they were busy, they forgot their opponent, and Ellen managed to free himself. He told them not to neglect their opponent, no matter what. Then, Tina and Illy used spells and cast them on Ellen. At the same time, Ellen was ready for them, which led to their spells colliding, made them unable to see. Then, Elin used his power and conjured two spheres of water above them, which made the smoke disappear. He told them they lost. Then he approached them and praised Tina for her trap. He told Illy that she had become more skilled than before, but they still had a lot to learn. He also told them that they would face a wizard chosen by Duke Walter himself in their final test, and that he might use advanced spells against them. They had to face him with all their might. He asked Tina to continue working on controlling her power, because there wasn't much time left until the exam. He would be by their side the entire time to teach them everything they needed. But today was enough for training. Then Illy and Tina went to wash up. Tina enjoyed bathing immediately after training. Tina asked Illy if they could win the final test since their exam was approaching, but Illy didn't know. Tina expected Illy to do well because of Graham and Shirley's training, but Illy explained to her that any maid from Howard should experience this, and her grandmother also thought she was amazing. But Tina thought Ellen was amazing, and she couldn't let him down, and Illy shouldn't either. Then they held each other, and Tina promised Illy they would go to the academy together, but Illy lost consciousness, which worried Tina. Then they went to Ellen's room, and he examined Illy, and discovered that she had stayed in the bathroom for too long and became dizzy. Then Ellen also cast the spell on Tina because it's used to dry hair, and he used it a lot in the past. But they both wondered at the same time, who were you using it for? Elin told them he used it for his sister, Karen, and told them that she would be their classmate at the academy, and she was studying there at a higher rank. Then they went back to the training room again, and he asked them to start hitting him again. Then Illy cast a strong spell on him, but he blocked it. On the other side, he blocked an ice arrow from Tina. But Tina didn't stop and conjured magic circles, and cast a large group of arrows at him, but he dodged some of them and blocked the rest. While he was busy with Tina's attacks, Illy appeared from above, but he dodged that too, and tried to restrain him after that. But he received an arrow from Tina, and she succeeded in hitting him. Elin told them, "Well done," which made them happy. Then they approached him and asked him to continue training, but Elin wanted to end the training because their final exam was tomorrow, and they had to save some energy for it. Then night fell, and Ellen went to the library again and continued searching for books. He told himself that another book wouldn't bring him closer to uncovering what he saw then. He remembered what he had seen before again. Then Tina appeared from behind him. He asked her what brought her here at this time of night, but Tina couldn't sleep, so she decided to visit her plants to lift her spirits, and she saw the light on. Then she asked him if she didn't succeed tomorrow, she wouldn't be able to go to the Royal Academy. But Elin was confident that things wouldn't go that far, and that she and Illy would succeed. Then Tina asked Ellen to listen to her for a moment, and when he agreed, she told him that when she was young, she used to beg her mother to read her the picture book and talk to her, and this was why she loved legends and their great spells. She saw their pictures in this book, and these pictures were of the little bird, the burning lion, and the gilly bird that froze everything, and that it was an extinct bird that looked like a crane. At that time, she thought that great spells were real, so she wanted to go to the royal capital. This was the story her mother left her, and she wanted to prove that it was real. She told him that he was the first person she told this to. Then Ellen thanked her for trusting him. Then he picked up a book and asked her if she wanted to take a look at it. Then Tina took the book and opened it and started looking at it carefully. Ellen told her that every book had a royal seal on the last page. Elin didn't know Tina's mother personally, but by looking at the notes she left, he discovered their importance to the children who would live after her. He also told her that the formulas he was teaching her were taken from these notes with some modifications from him. Then he closed the book, and she hugged Ellen. Then she promised him that she would win tomorrow and go to the Royal Academy. The next day, Tina and Illy met and were feeling anxious, but Ellen appeared to them and asked them not to worry and told them they would definitely win. Then they entered, and Shirley was waiting for them and asked Ellen to go to the platform because he was not allowed to enter, and Ellen knew this. Then Shirley gave Tina a wrapped item, and when Tina opened it, she found a staff. Shirley told her that this staff belonged to her mother, Rosa, and that she left it in her care and asked her to give it to Tina when she learned magic, which surprised Tina but increased her confidence, and now there was nothing to fear, which made Shirley happy that she had delivered the staff and fulfilled her duty to Rosa. Then Illy approached Shirley, and Shirley asked Illy to do her best and trust herself greatly. Then Tina asked Illy to go, and they told Ellen that they would use everything he taught them, and Ellen wished them success. Then we moved to the arena, and Graham told them that this gentleman would be their opponent, and the opponent was Walter, but he was invisible. Elin discovered that this mask was a perception-concealing spell. The opponent told the girls that if they wanted to enter the Royal Academy, they had to defeat him. He asked them to face him with all their energy. Then they set up a barrier, and Graham asked them to begin. Then Walter attacked, but Illy landed a blow on him that pushed him away. But he attacked again and managed to grab her and throw her far away. But while Illy was flying in the air, she managed to cast a spell and control Walter and freeze him to the ground, which made Shirley proud of her. After that, Tina surrounded Walter with a group of magic circles and launched ice arrows at him, but he was not affected. Then Tina used her magic staff and restrained Walter, but he immediately broke free. Then Walter attacked Tina, but Illy moved Tina away from this deadly blow. While he was about to attack them again, Illy managed to immobilize him, and Tina cast an ice arrow at him, but he blocked it. But they managed to surround him with a whirlwind of black fog. Then they took advantage of the fact that Walter was unable to see and launched a double attack on him, but Walter was not affected. Walter told them that he was proud of their skill and created a very large spell, and Ellen saw that it was an advanced spell of dual ice pillars, which made Illy very nervous and unable to use her magic. But Tina told her to calm down and that they would do as Ellen taught them. Ellen encouraged them. Then the two used their magic, ready for Walter's attack. Walter aimed a blow at them, but Tina blocked it by sending fireballs, and Tina also used ice arrows, and they succeeded in blocking it. Elin was surprised by Tina's blocking of this blow and using a spell he hadn't taught her. Shirley was also proud of Tina. Tina saw that they were now ready for the academy tests and asked him to admit defeat, but Walter didn't think they would reach this stage. Illy asked Walter to surrender because there was no point in trying with them, but Walter didn't stop attacking and used a very powerful spell, and Elin thought the barrier wouldn't withstand this spell. He asked everyone to leave so they wouldn't get hurt, and he also asked Shirley. Then Elin went down to the battlefield and asked Harrogam to take over as judge on his behalf. Harrogam expected that this would be very dangerous, and Ellen knew this, but he was used to it, whether good or bad. Then Walter scolded the girls and asked them, "Didn't your teacher teach you to attack when the opportunity arises?" Tina was surprised and thought that only her father could use this spell. Illy wondered how they could face this, but she didn't despair and would indeed find a way because they were teacher Elin's students. Tina also thought this and said that they would win and go to the academy together. Then Walter summoned the Blizzard Wolf, and Elin thought this was the highest spell of the Howard house. Elin gave Graham inverse barriers and asked him to set up a second barrier outside in case of any emergency. Then Elin approached the girls, but they refused to let him come closer to avoid any harm. Eli then recalled what he had told her when he wanted her to use two types of magic at the same time, and she actually did it, which caused the wolf to feel pain, but he was not affected. Then Tina remembered Ellen's encouragement and succeeded in freezing the wolf, but Walter also didn't stop and released the wolf's restraints, telling them that if they wanted to resist, they had to cast a spell on him. The wolf then roared at them, causing them to fall to the ground, but they weren't fully affected. Elin then asked Tina to use the Storm Wolf spell, although she hadn't practiced it, but he urged her to try, and Tina thought it was impossible. However, Elin told her she could do it and asked Eli to support her. Eli then grabbed the wand with Tina, and they drew a magic circle. Walter attacked them with the wolf while they also succeeded in summoning their own wolf, and the two wolves clashed with each other. Walter was amazed by this, but knew they were beginners in this matter. He charged again, but there was a barrier to stop his wolf. The wolves roared at each other, and Walter asked if that was all they had, but Tina told him they could keep going, and they continued to attack. Tina untied a strip of her hair and tied it to the wand because that's what her mother had told her when she took things seriously. She then asked her mother to give her strength and urged Eli to put in all her effort. Then her mother's power appeared and delivered another strong blow, which eliminated Walter's wolf and shattered his mask, revealing a huge ice power that penetrated the battlefield and reached the sky, leaving everyone in awe. They then moved to the train station to head to the royal capital, and Graham told Eli to listen to Elin's advice. Then he came to Walter and asked how his wounds were, but he was all right. Tina apologized to her father, but he was very impressed with her test and almost thought she was Rosa. He told her he was sorry for everything and that he was scared for her because he couldn't bear the thought of losing her. Then Tina hugged him, but he felt pain because of his wounds. She told him she would be going and asked him to take care of the plants in her absence, and Walter agreed to this. Then Eli told Tina that the train was about to leave and boarded with her immediately. Eli asked Tina if she forgot anything, but Tina was well prepared. Walter saw it as a duty for a father to send his daughter into a wide world, and his wife also wished for that for her. He then approached Ellen and told him he trusted him, but Walter and Graham vowed not to let anyone touch their daughters. After Ellen boarded the train, he told them he would be waiting for them in the royal capital, and the train began to move. Aelin went to Lydia's house and received a blow from behind, but he blocked it and said that attacking from behind is a bad trait. Then Lydia appeared to him with very angry features and said to Alan, "Thank you for the advice," and asked him who he thought he was to make her wait all this time. But Alan told her that he wasn't late, and they hadn't met for a long time, but Alan should have been in his seat before Lydia arrived. Her magic never worked on him, and Alan could dispel it without any effort. Lydia threatened him that if he spoke more hot air, she would cut him off. Then Lydia sat down, and Aelin apologized to her, but Lydia asked Aelin what mistake he was apologizing for. Then Then Alan told her that he was apologizing for accepting the teaching job without consulting her, and also because he hadn't come to meet her since his return to the royal capital until today, and because he hadn't told her the reason for his failure in the royal wizard test. After he apologized for all his mistakes, Lydia asked him to hug her. Then Alan went forward to hug her, and she asked him not to leave again without telling her. Alan told her that he would do his best, which led to Lydia hugging Alan tightly, causing him pain. She wanted to hear him tell her that he wouldn't do this again and ask for her forgiveness. Alan asked Lydia, "Have I become your servant?" but apologized to her again. Then Lydia's maid came to serve them tea and welcomed Alan back. The maid put the tea on the table and whispered to Alan that Lydia had tired herself out choosing this dress today, but Lydia told her that she heard everything. Then the maid left, and Lydia asked Alan to sit with her. Then Alan showed a small gift to Lydia as a small memento and gave it to her. He also told her that the dress suited her very much and that she was very beautiful, which made Lydia feel embarrassed. Then Alan told Lydia that he had written in one of his letters congratulating her for passing the royal wizard test and that she would also graduate from university. Lydia thought Alan would attend her graduation ceremony, right? Alan told her that the professor had asked him to attend, but he felt a bit nervous about it. Alan asked Lydia if anyone had ever graduated second without a ready job. Lydia was surprised and asked Alan if he intended to continue teaching, but Alan wasn't thinking about this and felt he wasn't worthy of it. Then he drank the tea. Lydia asked Alan about his opinion and told him that Tina had become able to use magic, but Alan told her that many things had happened, but Lydia thought there was something Alan wasn't telling her. But Alan didn't intend to hide anything. There were just many things concerning Tina's mana that he wanted to study more. Then Lydia asked about the entrance exam and asked him if she was confident in him. But Alan thought they had started the written test now, and that Tina would get first place this year, and Ely would also get an advanced place. But Lydia's little sister was there too, and first place might be difficult for Tina. But Alan saw that Lynn, Lydia's sister, was an outstanding student, but she would face fierce competition because Tina had cast a very advanced spell almost as soon as she learned magic, and he only knew one person who matched her, who was also a genius. Lydia told him that the results would appear after a week and asked him to visit her every day from now on. She told him this was an order for him, and Alan quickly agreed, which led to Lydia's gratitude to him. Then we moved to Walter's house, where he was reading a letter, but he hadn't expected Tina to get first place with a result that was almost the highest in history, and Ely also passed with honors. Walter told Alan that he never stopped amazing him, but Alan explained to Walter that both of them were excellent students and asked Walter to praise them. Then Walter praised the girls and told Tina that she was now the pride of their family. Then he told Alan that he was very grateful to him and asked him if he would like to be a private tutor, which surprised the girls, but Alan appreciated this very much but would decline. Ely asked Alan why he would refuse, but Walter thought he refused because of his concern about the royal capital. But Walter didn't blame Alan for the incident that occurred in the royal wizard exam. Alan asked Walter, "Did you know about it?" But Walter is a duke before anything else, and serious problems reach his ears. Then Tina asked Alan if he had taken the royal wizard exam. Alan answered yes, but Walter heard that Alan had solved the written test and the interview, but in the practical, that was the reason for his failure, which angered the girls. They didn't believe that Alan had done this, and that he had never failed any test at all. Tina was very angry, which led to the appearance of her mana. Then Walter revealed to them that the examiner who faced Alan in the practical was Prince Gerard II, and heard that he had provoked Alan before the exam, including an insult directed at his family and Lydia. But Alan asked Walter to stop, but Tina and Ely insisted on knowing. Walter continued talking and told them that in the exam, Alan broke all the prince's spells, then defeated him in a sword duel as well, but the prince didn't show him respect. The examiners couldn't ignore the prince, so they finally chose not to evaluate Alan's performance. But Alan told them that he wasn't sorry. Walter asked Alan, "Even after you missed the chance to be a royal wizard, you must have dreamed of this since joining the academy." Then Alan confessed to them that he was an orphan and didn't know who his real parents were, and the parents and sister he has now are from the Wolf clan and not of his blood. Nevertheless, they raised him with tenderness and gave him their love. Lydia also thinks of him sometimes, and he's not mature enough to ignore their insults with a smile, but he doesn't want to drag those he owes so much to into this issue. But Walter doesn't agree with him on this, but always wants to remember that the Howard family is his ally and will surely help him. Alan thanked Walter very much. Then Tina told him that she also didn't accept this, and that she wouldn't part from Alan. She left, and after that, Alan went to look for Tina. Then he saw her standing alone. Then Alan approached Tina, and Tina asked Alan if he would really resign. Alan thought they would be fine without him now, but Tina cried and told him that this wouldn't work. But Alan told her that he would resign now but would remain their teacher, and that he would come to them if they needed him. Then the professor came to them and told Alan that he had a lot of work ahead of him. But Alan got angry and asked him why he seemed so happy. But the professor was happy because one of his dear students would be exempted from the trip back home. He gave him advice, which was to stay in this place and continue as Tina's teacher. He told him to agree, and that he would keep it a secret. But Alan asked the professor in amazement, "Is this a threat?" But the professor, as his academic advisor, couldn't bear to see his talent go to waste. But Alan told the professor that this couldn't be, and that he was the one who orchestrated all of this. Then the professor approached Alan and told him it wasn't him who did did this, but Walter who arranged everything, and that he would talk to you. The professor asked Walter to involve Tina in this meeting. Then he presented him with his re-employment contract and asked for his signature, which shocked Alan. Then we moved to Tina's room, where she was with Ely. Ely asked Tina if something was wrong with her because she was acting strangely and staring a lot into space, but Tina denied it and told her she was fine but a little busy with the enrollment ceremony letter. Then Stella, Tina's older sister, came, which made Tina feel happy at Stella's return. She hugged her, and Tina was missing Stella a lot because she hadn't returned for the winter break, but Stella was very busy with the student council. Ely asked Stella if she held the position of student council president and saw that this was something to be proud of. Tina asked Stella, "Have you met Dad?" But Stella hadn't gone to her father yet. Then she congratulated them on their success and told Tina that she was surprised she got first place despite just learning magic. But Tina told her that the reason for this was teacher Alan, and Stella saw that she mentioned him a lot in her letters to her. She said about him that he was a bully a lot and that she would like to meet him to express her gratitude to him. Then Tina told her that he would be at the enrollment ceremony, so Stella would see him there. Tina asked Stella if she had some time today or if she would return to the dorm, but Stella would stay with them until the end of the evening so that they could talk a lot. The next day, Tina and Ely moved to their school and were very happy. Then Alan came to them and greeted them, and the girls also greeted Alan. Then Alan told the girls that he lives in the workers' district, and it took great courage to go out looking like this. Ely liked the uniform very much and asked Tina what was wrong with her, but Tina told her nothing. Then Alan congratulated the girls on the new school and told them that the uniform suited them. He adjusted Ely's sash, and Ely thanked Alan and told him that she heard he would remain their teacher and that she was very happy to hear this. But Alan was also happy about this and hoped to have many lessons with them. Ellie asked Alan, "What made you change your mind?" But Alan told her there were different reasons. Then Sherry told the girls that it was time for school. Tina felt worried, but Alan reassured her and told her he'd be with her and would watch her give her speech. After that, they went into the school, and Ellie said goodbye to Alan and her grandmother. Then Lynn came to Alan, greeted him, and told him that the uniform looked really good on him. Alan thanked Lynn a lot and asked her not to call him like that because it could cause misunderstandings. Then Duchess Lisa arrived, but Lisa didn't like Alan calling her the Duchess, so Alan addressed her as ma'am until Lisa told him that was fine. She said he was like a son to her and asked him to stop being so formal. Alan thanked Lisa and told her that this could also cause misunderstandings, but Lisa asked him what he meant, and Alan quickly took back his words. Then Lisa told Alan that Lydia had left that morning to appoint a witch for the palace, and she was mumbling and complaining because she wanted to attend the entrance ceremony. Alan thought that Lydia wanted to see Lynn's impressive appearance, but the maid told him that wasn't the only reason. She told him she would record today's events with a recording orb so Lydia could watch them whenever she wanted. Then we moved to inside the party, and Tina felt very anxious, and Ellie tried to reassure her. Then it began to rain, but Lynn sees that rain is better than snow and she can't stand the cold. Then Ellie asked Lynn, "Aren't you the daughter of Duke Leinster?" But Tina knew she was Lynn, Lydia's younger sister, and also told her she hates heat, which angered Lynn. Then Lynn told Tina that she took first place from her and sees no reason for competition between them. She told her that she could give the speech instead of her if it made her nervous, but Tina told her that she had a miracle given to her by Master Alan and would not give it up no matter what. Then we moved to Alan and Lisa. Lisa told Alan that the ceremony would begin now. One of the students came forward to give her speech, and Alan was surprised it was Karen. Lisa told Alan that Karen is on the student council. Karen began speaking and told them the ceremony would begin now, and she would be the master of ceremonies. She introduced herself as Karen, vice president of the student council, from the Wolf clan, and looked forward to working with them. But everyone began asking why people from monster clans were at the Royal Academy, which angered Alan. The servant told Alan that he looked very scary but didn't mean it. But the servant told him that the Leinsters would take care of them, and asked him not to worry. Then Karen asked everyone to look at the sky, and a man appeared flying in the sky. Karen told them this was the one who put up the rain barrier, their director Lord Rod, and he would address them shortly. She told them they would now listen to a speech by a representative of the new students, Tina. Then Tina came forward to give her speech. Alan saw that she was very nervous and Tina almost fell to the ground, but Karen supported her. Karen asked her to make a great effort. Tina began speaking and introduced herself, saying she felt very nervous when they told her she would give a speech. She told them she was born in Duke Howard's house and wasn't able to cast a single spell until she was 13. She thought she had no right to dream, but had no choice but to live her life without great hopes. But now she's at the school, and she who could use magic only 3 months ago wonders if she's dreaming or not. She learned magic thanks to someone she met and is very grateful to him, so much that she cannot thank him enough. Her dream had always been to use magic, but that no longer satisfies her. She wants to learn more and more spells, so she can repay this wonderful person and one day be able to pass on the miracles she received to someone else. She is pursuing this new dream now and perhaps cannot imagine how rough and difficult difficult the road ahead will be, but she cannot give up because she now knows that dreams come true. This led to the amazement of the other students when Tina released ice into the air. She asked her colleagues to work hard together, then looked at Alan and told him she would catch up to him one day, asking him to be ready. She thanked everyone and left. Alan and Lisa applauded her, and Lisa felt that Lydia would be jealous of this. Then Karen spoke and told everyone that the next speech was by Stella Howard. Then Stella Howard came forward and introduced herself, congratulating the new students on successfully reaching the school. Alan discovered that this was Tina's older sister. Stella continued talking and told them that this school had the highest standards in the kingdom, and since they had been accepted here, they should feel proud. She told them this school is very strict in its rules and the reality of the school is harsh. The training is intensive and may shatter many people's hopes and dreams, but it will also make their growth fast and amazing. When she came to the school, she was closer to the bottom of the class than the top, even though she was the eldest daughter of Duke Howard, but now she stands before them as president of the student council. She assured them that if they continue to progress, they will find their way. She asked them never to give up and said she looks forward to meeting them at school with all passion. Lisa saw that Stella was a good example for the eldest daughter of Duke Howard, and that Lydia needs some of her seriousness, but the servant thinks Lydia is very serious. Then Karen said now it's time for the school principal's speech, but Alan knows the principal gives long speeches and told Lisa she might receive a sleep spell. Then a servant came to the servant Annan and whispered to her. Then Annan told Lisa that Lydia is in big trouble. Then we moved to Lydia, who was in a major confrontation with a group of soldiers. Lydia told the soldiers that she chooses how people die, but she didn't give them this choice, and threatened that she would cut and burn them. Lydia attacked the knights and brought them all down, throwing them to the ground. She asked their leader if he thought he could insult her, and that he couldn't do that, not even in a million years. This led to the rest of the knights trying to confront her, and the leader got angry, asking her if she realized what she was doing. Then, she pointed her sword at Gerard and told him he was next, which scared Gerard. He asked the other knights to protect him, but Alan appeared just in time and asked them to stop, which made Lydia's brother happy, as he had been waiting for him. Then Lydia asked Alan why he was there. Alan told her that he had received a message and came to her quickly, and asked Lydia what had happened to ruin the day. Then the king appeared and asked them what all the commotion was about. He asked Lydia to explain to him what was happening, but Lydia told him that this was not the right place, and that she thought he already knew. Then Gerard approached the king, his father, and told him that the matter started when his friends gave Lydia some advice, telling her that she couldn't pretend to be stupid forever, and asked her to choose her acquaintances carefully. Instead of showing gratitude, she got angry at them and used violence against them, which was a scandalous act. Then Lydia's brother stepped forward and asked Gerard if he had ever thought about how his actions would damage the reputation of the royal guard. But Gerard told him that it was coincidental that he met him there, and asked him to save his advice for his sister, because that fool had refused to marry him time and time again. Then he asked his father, the king, to punish this girl. Then Alan approached the king and asked him to speak, but Gerard told Alan to know his place and reprimanded him, telling him that it was none of his business. After the king allowed Alan to speak, Alan began to speak and told the king that Lydia was known as the Lady of the Sword and would never draw her sword without a reason, and that he had spent 4 years by her side and knew that better than anyone else. And she told you that you shouldn't mention the reasons for her actions in this place, and asked for leniency for her, that her intentions should be taken into consideration, which angered Gerard. He reprimanded Alan and told him that people like him should never set foot in the Leinster houses, and described him as a failure and unfit to join the court wizards. Then he told him that his family was from the Wolf Clan, wasn't it? Perhaps the stench of animals had passed to Lydia as well, and only monsters resort to violence so quickly. Then Alan said to Gerard that he would accept any insult to him personally, but he would not stand idly by while he attacked Lydia's reputation and his family's, and told him that his words were like a sharp blade capable of wounding the heart. Then he told him that he would assume that Lydia had drawn her sword, and that it would be a response to Gerard's sword of words. Then the king asked them to stop and sentenced Lydia and Gerard to house arrest for a month, and banned Gerard from these two from now on, which angered Gerard greatly with his father. Then Lydia and Alan walked together, and Alan thought that this was a fair judgment from the king, considering her previous reputation, and told her that she had lost her temper to defend him and thanked her. Then Professor Gale came, and Gale was happy with what Alan had done, and Alan was surprised that they were there too. Alan asked the professor if he was just sitting and watching while his students were in danger. Lydia asked him to be useful for once, but Gale told them that the king had come because the professor had stirred things up. Then the professor told them that the king was coincidentally nearby, and that he was the one who signaled him to come. Lydia's brother said that this was a good ending that made up for what came before. Then Lydia's maid said that it was amazing that the heir to the esteemed Leinster family was unable to do anything out of fear of his sister, and that it seemed that he had to deal with the paving stones after a long absence. Lydia's brother asked to return to his duties. Then we moved to the academy. Ellie and Tina had finished the party and Shelley was waiting for them outside. Tina wondered where Alan had gone, gone. Then Shelley told them that he had gone to see Lydia because she was in big trouble. Tina was wondering why he had disappeared in the middle of the party. Then Ellie suggested that they go to the Leinster headquarters immediately. Then they saw Lydia's little sister going to her headquarters, and they took this opportunity and went with her in her private carriage. Ellie admitted to Lean that they had wished for this opportunity, and that it had come to them. Then Tina asked the driver to move the carriage now. Then the carriage moved in the direction of Lydia's headquarters. Then we moved to Lydia's headquarters, and Alan was leaving, and asked Lydia to thank Lissa, her older sister. But Lydia asked Alan to spend the night with them. But Alan told her that he shouldn't do this suddenly, but Lydia told him that it was just one night. But Alan told her that he had lessons he wanted to prepare, and that he would come again. Then he left. But Lydia asked him to stop again. Then she hugged him from behind and asked him not to look at her and to listen to what she had to say, and told him not to forget that he couldn't stay away from her and that it was okay if she was the Duke's daughter and Alan was a commoner, and if one of them tried to separate them, she would give up her title and travel with him abroad. Alan was about to speak, but she asked him not to look at her. Then she asked him to visit her every day like a punishment and tried to look at her, but she hit him until he stopped. Then Alan told her that he would come to her as much as possible. Then Lean arrived with Ellie and Tina, and Alan asked, "Why are you here?" Tina told him that they were worried about him, and Ellie asked Alan, "What are you doing in this place?" Then Alan told them that he was just talking. Then Ellie asked again, "Alan, what were you talking about?" Then Lydia congratulated Tina on getting first place, and Tina thanked Lydia and that all this was thanks to Alan, and that she had reached this academy through his teaching her. Then Lean told Tina that she would defeat her in the next test and confirmed that to her. But Tina did not let her do this, and a quarrel broke out between them. Then Lydia suggested to Lean that she learn under Alan's hand, and Lean wondered if she could do this, and Lydia told her that she would talk to their mother about this. Then Lydia asked Alan to teach them all in her house and that she would not accept his refusal, and Alan agreed to this. Then Tina told them that she did not want to study with Lean, and Lean asked Tina, "Are you afraid that I will surpass you?" Then we moved to the academy. Karen Alan watched her brother from the window and went to meet him, telling him she had been waiting for him. But Alan apologized to her, saying he was busy today. Then she grabbed him and asked him to come with her. Then they entered her office. Karen told Alan that she had heard about his work in teaching and about what happened with Lydia as well, leading Alan to believe that Karen was worried about him. But Karen wanted him to be more careful now. Then Alan said to her, "Of course," and that he would. Then he told her that her performance was great at the party. Then she patted him on the back. Then Stella came in and was surprised when she saw them. But Karen introduced Alan to Stella, telling her that he was her brother, which greatly surprised Stella, and she was shocked until Karen slapped her to bring her back to her senses. Then Karen introduced Stella to Alan and told Alan that she was her friend and that she admired him and Lydia. Then Stella greeted Alan and told him that his excellent reputation preceded him. Then Alan told Stella that he learned a lot from Tina and told her that she dropped her head covering and handed it to her. Then Karen asked to get to the point and told him that the academy director had asked her to deliver this letter to Alan, and that the director had an urgent matter that summoned him, so he wouldn't be able to meet him. Then Alan understood why Karen was waiting for him. Then Alan opened the letter and read it. Then the director told him that he wanted to ask him for a favor, and that he had tightened security measures in the academy, but he was very busy, and that the matter concerned Prince Gerard, and that he had now given up on Lydia and had his eye on Lynn, and that he was supposedly under house arrest, and no one knew what he was planning. Then Karen asked Alan, "Is something wrong?" But Alan told her not to worry, and that the director had asked to appoint him as a temporary teacher, which surprised them. After that, Stella presented the attendance list for today's classes to Alan and asked him to allow her to accompany him and attend his classes. But Alan told her that he knew she was busy, but Karen was tied to a mandatory session now. But Stella told him that she had no problem at all showing him the place instead of Karen. Then Alan told Stella that her headband looked exactly like Tina's. Then Stella told him that it was a memento from their mother and that she held her head high with pride when she wore it. And as the heir to a duchy, she must live a life worthy of her name. Then Alan hoped that they could hone their skills together, she and her sister. Stella admitted to him that they had agreed on this together, she and Tina, and that they had been corresponding for a long time, and that Tina had told her many things about him. Then Alan discovered that they were close, but he didn't ask what Tina had said about him. But Stella told him that she wrote about him that he was very mean, and that Stella believed her younger sister's words, but Alan didn't mean to be like that. Then Alan and Stella moved to Tina and Eli's special class, which surprised them. Then Stella asked everyone to sit down because the lesson would begin now. Then Alan welcomed the students and told them his name, and that he would be their teacher for a short time, and that he was a former student at this academy, and that he was looking forward to working with them. Then one of the students spoke to each other and said that they had never seen a teacher of this young age among the teachers, and that everyone in this class had passed the entrance exam with honors, and would a substitute teacher like this be able to teach anything? Which angered Lynn after hearing them, and Tina almost showed her power because of her anger, but Alan asked her to calm down. Then he told them that they would begin, and that he didn't use the school book, and that he preferred applied magic. Then he wrote on the wall board and asked them if any of them knew how to explain the levels of spells. Then Lynn raised her hand and answered the question that spells are divided into 3 types: advanced, elementary, and intermediate, depending on their strength and effect, and that the upper spells inherited in the houses of the 4 great dukes, including the House of Leinster, are an exception. Then Alan told her that it was a correct answer. Then he asked again, "Can anyone cast an advanced spell?" And Stella raised her hand, and so did Lynn and Tina, which amazed the rest of the students. Then Alan asked Lynn to cast an advanced spell as an example, but Lynn stopped and asked Alan, "Do you want me to cast it in this place?" But Alan told her that he would put up a barrier for her. Then Lynn stepped forward, and Alan created a barrier. Then Lynn launched a strike using advanced magic. Then Alan began to explain to the students that this is advanced magic, and that it is so powerful that it can cause side damage, so it must be handled with caution. Then he asked Lynn to stop, but Tina felt jealous, and asked Alan that she also wanted to do this. Then Alan allowed her to do this. Then Lynn wondered what kind Tina would present, since she was the top student, and no doubt it would surpass her effort, with which she won 2nd place, by leaps and bounds. Then Tina stepped forward, and showed an ice spell, which spread ice inside the class, and the students felt cold. And Alan thought that Tina wanted to impress them with the Ice Storm Wolf, and Tina succeeded in showing the Ice Wolf, but Alan asked Tina to stop until the wolf disappeared, which provoked Lynn to Tina, and Tina became very angry. Then Alan asked them to stop and told them that they were the best 2 students in their class, and that they surpassed their classmates by leaps and bounds. But with power comes responsibility, and asked them not to forget this fact ever. Then Alan continued to explain to them, and that he would now explain to them the casting of compound spells. Then he showed them a compound spell and asked them to try to do it, and that they could do things like this once they mastered it, which amazed all the students. But Patricia wanted to ask the teacher a question, and when Alan allowed her, she asked him if he could merge light with darkness, or is this difficult for him? But Alan told her that he would try, and he actually merged light with day, which amazed all the students. Then he stopped it and asked them about their opinion of it, and asked them to work hard in their studies, and they would learn to do this themselves. Then one of the students asked Alan that a skilled magician can summon magical creatures, and asked him if he could do this. Then Alan told them that he would show them this now and cast a spell, which caused a group of animals to appear, and told them that they could touch them, they were harmless. Then the students grabbed the animals and were very amazed. Then Eli approached Alan and asked him to teach her this spell, but Alan told her that this was a little difficult, but he asked her to extend her hands. Then Eli extended her hands. Then he asked her to cast a spell. Then he asked her to imagine a cat, and when she imagined it, the cat appeared to her on her hands, which amazed the rest of the students. Then Alan asked Eli to do it alone now. Then Alan told the students to give up the idea of whether they could do it or not, and also told them that he knew someone who was not able to cast an elementary spell, but she never gave up and trained with the sword more than anyone, and mastered it to the point that she could cleave spells with her sword. And the secret is to maintain her resolve and move towards action. And the 2 students asked if Alan meant the sword maiden, Lydia. Then Alan asked the students before finishing the lesson if any of them wanted to ask about something. Then Stella asked to allow her to ask about someone outside the class. Then she asked him if he was able to cast a spell on her, but Alan told her no, and that he had less mana capacity than anyone here, and that intermediate spells were his limit, and that he could put advanced spell formulas but could not activate them, and yet he graduated from the Royal Academy and the university, as the 2 schools are looking for more than just mana capacity. Then Stella asked him, then what are they looking for? Then Alan thought that they were looking for persistence and diligence without laziness or arrogance or being preoccupied with the opinions of others, and asked the students to give up the idea that they are helpless and always try new challenges, and told them that this is how their lesson ends now. Then they approached the drums and asked him to tell them more about the sword maiden Lydia. Then we moved to Lydia's house, and Alan was teaching Lynn and Tina together, and Eli was also in their service. And Alan thought that this was Lydia's idea, and that it was very good. While Eli was preparing tea for them, she almost fell to the ground, but Alan saved her, which led to him being stared at by Tina and Lynn. Then Lydia came to them and asked what was happening, and told him that he should discipline her servant, but Alan pleaded with her, and told her that it was just an accident, and asked her to calm down, but Lydia told him that there were no excuses.